If you're a commission salon or spa owner working nonstop, barely paying yourself, and wondering how in the heck this became your life, you need a serious upgrade. Welcome to the station. Hey there, and welcome to the podcast designed to help salon and spa owners build, grow, and scale without the burnout. If you are tired of the hustle not matching the profit, then you're in the right place. We are breaking down the strategies, leadership skills, and business systems that turn beauty businesses into profit powerhouses. Hey, Chandra, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good.
All right. Today's episode, it is one that has been brewing for quite a while, honestly. Lately, I have had multiple, and when I say multiple, I mean a lot, of salon and spa owners reach out. They are completely overwhelmed, they're exhausted, and they're literally at their breaking point. Like to the point of, I don't know if I want to re-sign my lease on my building that's coming up 2 days from now. While the details vary, the patterns, they're all the same. They say that they've worked with a coach before, but they felt like they never got all the answers, like it was just dangling a carrot in front of them just to keep them in the coaching program. They swear that they've built an amazing culture, even though team members keep walking out or quitting. They've got some savings in the bank, but they're still working behind the chair full time. They want to hire, but they claim that they have absolutely no time to train. Now, friends, we are not here to judge you. I promise you this. This used to be me. This used to be Chandra. We were in your same exact spot. These stories, they're layered, they're emotional, and they're often rooted in survival mode. But at some point, we have to get real with ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves, because here's the truth. Until we are willing to call out the lies that we have been telling ourselves, and I say this with so much love in my heart, we are going to stay stuck in a cycle of frustration, blame, and burnout. There's no other way to say it. This episode, it's not about calling you out. It's about calling you forward. It's about getting honest so you can finally move into your rightful role as a true CEO and break this cycle for good. Chandra, you have seen a lot of transformations inside of our program. What do you think makes the biggest difference for someone who is ready to stop making excuses and actually make changes?
Oh my gosh, we have seen a lot of transformation. So I think it's definitely, just getting clarity on what path they should take, how they should move forward, what kind of things do they need to put in place, what do they need to do differently, what can they change? Because I think, like you said, that cycle, it's the same kind of for everyone. Like everyone we talk to in the industry that owns a salon or spa, it's a lot of the same frustrations, the same problems, and the same trap that they're stuck in. And I think the biggest thing is just really understanding, like, you don't have to be stuck there, and understanding that you can get to the point where you can reach your goals or get to that CEO role. But it's not easy. And I think, having that help or understanding where to go next is what's really going to help get you kind of moving forward.
I lied to myself for years. For years, I pretty much had blinders on. I was not willing to accept the fact that I wasn't the owner that I thought I was. I wasn't the leader that I thought I was. I was not really good at everything that I thought I was good at. And it broke me when I finally realized it, took the blinders off, figured it all out. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. Absolutely the best thing. Now, before we dive in too deep, because y'all are probably already in your feels a little bit, I want to tell you about one of our coaching members who was once exactly where you might be now. When she first joined our program, she was doing literally everything. She was book solid behind the chair. She was trying to lead her team through text messages, Slack, whatever it was, because she had no time to do anything in person. She was constantly putting out fires, and she was convinced that she just maybe needed a few better systems or a new few ideas. But what she really needed was to face the truth. She wasn't showing up as the owner. She wasn't doing it. She was still clinging to the role of provider, afraid to step back, afraid to delegate, and honestly, really, really afraid to lead. So fast forward to today, She is out from behind the chair. She has a team that respects her leadership, and her business finally reflects the vision that she had in her heart all along. Not because she just magically figured it out, but because she allowed someone to dissect her business with fresh eyes. She got honest with herself. She stopped making excuses, and that changed everything for her. Chandra, from your perspective, what is the first sign that an owner is stuck in a survival mindset but doesn't even realize it yet?
Yeah, I think the first sign is just if you keep having the same outcome over and over and over again, and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and you're just not getting anywhere, and you feel like you're doing so much stuff, but nothing is changing and nothing is reflecting all the hard work that you're putting in. I think that's the biggest sign.
It's the definition of insanity, right? And while we are defining insanity, we are making ourselves insane by continuing to do the things that are defined as insanity. It's crazy. It is just a cycle that just goes on and on and on forever until you finally decide to put your foot down, tell yourself the truth, and do something about it. So I want to break down some of these cycles and some of these lies, because the patterns that we see, they're not just coincidences. They are signs of deeper beliefs and habits that are really quietly running the show in your business, whether you realize it or not. And if I'm being really, really honest, the things holding you back the most, it's not usually the economy. It's not the industry. It's not our team even. Most of the time, it is 100% us. It's the stories that we have started to believe about ourselves. The narratives that we've rehearsed so many times, they now sound like the truth. The lies that feel safe, but they keep us really, really small. So let's walk through a few of the most common ones that you and I see, Chandra, salon and spa owners struggling with. Because when you can name the lie, you can replace it with strategy. And when you replace it with strategy, everything, I mean everything, starts to shift. So let's start with the first one. Lie number one: I tried coaching before and I didn't get the answers I needed. Listen, I get it. I truly do. I worked with several coaches before I got to the point that I'm at in my business and my life. So many salon and spa owners, they have invested in coaching and they walk away feeling like they were just, like I said earlier, chasing that carrot, like they got just enough to keep them hopeful, but never got the full picture. That's frustrating. It's infuriating, if I'm being honest. It makes you feel like you are doing everything right and you're still being left in the dark. But here's the other side of that coin. And I say this once again with so much love. Sometimes it's not the coach. Now, sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it's that we're expecting a coach to save us instead of guide us. Coaching isn't about someone handing you the keys to magically perfect your business. It's about someone helping you unlock what is already inside of you, but only if you are willing to show up, be honest, and actually do the hard work. If you're only looking for surface level tips or one size fits all systems, you are going to miss the deep transformation that only comes from radical ownership. And that is where the shift really starts to happen. When you stop expecting someone else to fix it for you and you take the lead in fixing it with support, not instead of support, but with it. Chandra, don't you think a big part of this comes down to who you choose as your coach? And why is it so important to work with someone who has actually built the kind of business that you're trying to build, not just someone good at giving advice?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up, is a lot of it is a one size fits all. And you really need to find a coach that is aligned with what your goals are, what your future looks like, what you want it to look like, and then finding somebody that's going to help guide you in that direction instead of just give you a plan of, here, do these things and, easy button. And that's just not how it works. And I think that's the biggest thing when you're getting into that process, is really it is about transformation. It's about transformation in you as a person and you as the owner more than it is about anything else that you can get out of it. So I think really finding somebody who is aligned, who has been in your shoes, who understands exactly what you're going through, knows where you're at, and has gotten out of that mess before and, reached true success. That's what you really need to find and be looking for in a coach, in somebody that's going to help you. And I think that's where people get stuck. They just want the easy button and they don't realize it's really about transforming you, how you work, how you lead, everything. It's about owner transformation.
100%. That's the biggest piece of the puzzle. And I think something that people need to realize is that just because you tried coaching once and it didn't work doesn't mean that once you find the right coach, it's not ever going to work. Because I've seen this happen. In fact, the reason that I actually got to where I am in my business and in my life, and we now have the coaching program that we have, is because coaching didn't work for me. But I didn't give up at the first one. I tried multiple times. One of the owners that I was speaking with yesterday, back and forth via Messenger, she was telling me about the coaching program. And we are not here to bash any coaching program. They all work differently. They are really good, most of them. And you just have to find the people that you align with, that you vibe with, that really get you. That's really, really important. But she was, saying that it just didn't work for her. And she fired these coaches. And I was like, okay, I completely understand. Yet she recommends them over and over and over again on social media. And so I think that's really, really funny. And I think people just really have to do their research, because I believe that the right coach really, really matters. I don't know about you, Chandra, but I think that matters 1,000,000%. What would you say about that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Same thing. I mean, I've been through a lot of different programs and different things, and some stuff did work. There was some things that did help, some things that did work for sure. But I think it did make a difference when I found that person that I was aligned with, that did understand me and understood my business and where I was at, and then knew, based on those things, how to take me in the right direction. And that made all the difference.
All right, line number 2, I have a great culture. Here's the thing. I would say 98% of salon and spa owners truly believe that they've built a solid culture. And honestly, a lot of times their team is even going to say the culture is great. But let's be honest. Sometimes our team, they just tell us what we want to hear. That's all they do. It's really easy to confuse a friendly, fun environment with a strong culture. But culture, it's not just about vibes or good energy. It's about alignment. That's what it all boils down to. It's about how your team shows up, how consistently your values are reinforced, and how clearly expectations are communicated. That's what real culture is. Sometimes what we think is a strong culture is actually just a surface level connection. We mistake loyalty for comfort or silence for satisfaction. But underneath, we usually find confusion, frustration, and even resentment. We're not seeing some of this stuff because we are way too close to it. That's what happens to owners. Or maybe because no one feels safe enough to actually speak up and tell us the truth. True culture is measured by behavior when things get hard. It's seen in how your team responds to feedback, how they communicate when you aren't in the room, and how they choose to stay, not because they have to, but because they actually want to. And if you're constantly dealing with turnover or disengagement, it's not a fluke. It's feedback. And that feedback, it deserves your attention, not your denial. Chandra, how can an owner tell the difference between a culture that feels good and one that's actually built on accountability and alignment?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest difference that I see when you have a strong culture is that everyone on your team is working to bring the business to success as a whole. Everybody's working together to help make their environment better and to help make everyone successful within those walls. It's not just about the one person who's a superstar or the whiny person in the corner or whatever that looks like. It's really when you know that everyone is aligned with taking the business to the next level, I feel like that's really a strong culture. And for me, it's the same thing. Like I thought I had a great culture. I was like, yeah, I've got an amazing culture. And then I realized like there's so many holes in there. And a lot of these people, they don't care. They're making good money. So they're happy. And they're not necessarily aligned with where the business was going. And so when we really worked on that culture piece, and now, I mean, I could honestly say that I think every single person on our team is working towards the bigger picture, the bigger goal. And that is huge when you can achieve that culture in your business, I think. And it makes your life so much easier too.
Oh, yeah, definitely makes your life easier. One of the things that I want to say is, once again, out of complete love, is that probably 90% of salon owners who think they have a good culture, they are actually being held hostage by at least one team member. This is something that Chandra and I have found over and over and over again. And you should never be held hostage in your own business. Period. Period. Okay, lie number 3. I have money saved, so I'm not failing. Having money saved is a great thing. It shows responsibility. It gives you some breathing room, but savings doesn't equal sustainability. If your business only works when you're behind the chair, grinding day in and day out, then you don't have a business, you have a job, a job. And here's the hard truth. That job will eventually drain you. It might pay your bills for now, but it is never going to build your empire or your future. A true owner doesn't lead their business through service provision. They lead through vision, strategy, and development. They coach their team, guide the culture, set direction, and make decisions based on long-term growth. They step fully into that CEO role, not someday, but now. Your business should thrive because of your leadership, not your labor. And the longer you rely on savings and hustle as your plan, the more fragile your business actually is. I know that probably doesn't make sense, but it is 100% true. The goal isn't just to survive another day, another month, another year. It is to build something that can run and grow without you being the engine. Chandra, we hear this one a lot. Why do you think so many owners confuse financial safety nets with long-term sustainability?
Yeah, I think it's just because exactly what you said. They're just trying to get through the month. They're trying to make sure they have enough money for the week. They're not planning for the long term. They're not planning for the future. They're not realizing that if they are profitable all the time, then they are going to be able to make a lot more money and save a lot more money and actually have a really, really rock solid financial foundation for their business. And I think they just don't, they can't, they're so stuck in the weeds and the chaos and all the stuff that they're just like, I just got to get through this week. I just got to crank out enough money to pay the payroll and the bills for this week, instead of actually planning for that future and making sure that they know where they need to be going financially to get to the end result, right? Which is you being able to maybe retire someday as the owner. So never going to get there if it's all relying on you getting in every single client you can possibly get in.
Lie number 4, I want to grow, but I don't have time to train anyone. This is hands down one of the biggest traps that salon and spa owners fall into, because on the surface, it sounds valid. You're busy, you're slammed. And the idea of taking time away from clients to train someone, it feels almost impossible. But here's the thing. If you don't make time to train, you'll never be able to grow. Never. You are saying no to a temporary inconvenience, but yes to a long-term cycle of burnout. Because what you're really doing is choosing to stay stuck. Training is the only way to scale your time, free yourself from the chair, and build a team that can actually carry the business forward without you, not to just rely on you. But here is where I think so many owners get it wrong. They assume that training just means shadowing or tossing a new hire into services and just hoping that they pick it up. That is not a training system. Once again, that is survival mode. If you want your team to succeed, you need an onboarding and training program that is intentional, repeatable, and strategic. One that goes beyond the technical skills, and it actually teaches your team how to thrive inside of your business. Your standards, your systems, your expectations, your brand experience. This kind of training, it takes time to create. Yes, it does, but it saves you years of stress and turnover. When your training is built like a system, it becomes scalable. It allows you to hire faster, delegate with confidence, and finally step into the leadership role your business has been needing from you all along. Chandra, what do you think holds people back the most when it comes to creating an actual training system, not just shadowing, but something real and repeatable?
I think a big part of what holds them back is just that they don't really know maybe even how to create that training program, where to even start. Like there's so much stuff that you have to teach and train on, and it becomes overwhelming. And I think they just get stuck, and it's going to take too much time, and it's too much work to put all this stuff together. And then I think that's what happens. I think they just end up not doing anything, hoping for the best.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. When I first implemented this in my studio, I hated myself for it. I really did. I thought, I don't know if this is ever going to work. I'm spending so much time on this. I think it's a great idea, but I don't know. And when I finally got it implemented and I got a few people through it, I realized I had hit a gold mine. And I remember when I was coaching you and we were going through this, I think that I could kind of sense some of the similarities. You were feeling the same way, but tell us your experience once you actually built this out in your salon.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's so easy now. We have everything systemized. I don't even hardly do the training anymore because my team can take all of that documentation, all of the training that we created, and they can actually train the new team members. And it definitely, it made it run so much smoother, less chaos. Everybody knew what's expected. Everybody's working at the same level of high standard, high quality that we expect. And instead of me trying to, train them here and there and things falling through the cracks, which is what we were kind of doing before, we had a training program, but it wasn't so systemized to the point where it could kind of run itself and where they could learn on their own and our team could pick up the slack where it needed to be picked up. And so it definitely, I mean, it changed our culture. It changed, our business as a whole, and everybody's producing money so much quicker. And that's what you really, really want at the end of the day. The longer you take to train them, the longer they're just going to cost you money. So they need to be producing revenue.
Well, and training and onboarding does not have to be boring. It can be fun. There are so many things that you can do nowadays to make it fun. The beautiful thing about it is anytime that you are training someone or onboarding someone, you want to clone your best employees. Yes, you want them to have their own personality, their own look, their own. It's not it's kind of Stepford Wives, right? Like that's what you want to create, but with their own personalities and things. And when you create a training and onboarding program like this, that is exactly what happens. We could literally take someone from either of our salons, have them working on a client, have the client blindfolded, switch them out with another provider. And aside from the voice change or maybe the personality a little bit, they would have no idea that somebody new was performing the service. That is what you need and have to create in your business. So at the core of all of these lies, there is one thing. It's fear. Fear of failing, fear of letting go, fear of what might happen if the truth really comes to light. Ooh, that kind of stings. But here's the thing. Truth, it is the beginning of freedom. Because once you see it clearly, you can actually change it. You can take action and you can make changes. Once you stop defending your limitations, you can finally build a business that supports your life, not one that drains it. I am so heartbroken seeing so many salon owners just being drained. They started with this passion and this love and this energy and this vigor. And now they're just, they hate life. They are completely drained. The best part, you don't ever have to do this alone. You just have to be willing to seek advice and help, to stop hiding behind the appearance of success and actually start creating success. All right, before we wrap up, I want to read a question that one of our listeners sent in recently. The question is, how do I set realistic goals when I feel like I'm constantly falling behind? I think this is a great question. The first thing is to stop setting goals based on pressure and guilt, because we tend to do that all the time. Realistic goals, they come from a place of strategy, not shame. You need to break them down into shorter time frames as well. Assign action steps and check your capacity always. If your week is overloaded already, adding a 10-hour project, that is not realistic. It's punishment. That's all you're doing to yourself. Your goals should stretch you, but they shouldn't snap you in half. I was very, very guilty of this in my business and in my life. Chandra, when you hear questions like this about feeling behind or feeling overwhelmed, what is something you always try to remind salon and spa owners in that moment?
Well, I think too that it's about really just kind of taking a step back and really looking at what's most important. Why are you feeling like that? Where's that coming from? And then kind of picking that apart and deciding like, okay, the overwhelm is coming from this. So let's focus on this. Let's set these other things aside to try to kind of compartmentalize some of those things a little bit and see what's going to be the best way for you to start getting out of that feeling and that overwhelmed stress. Because you can get out of it, and it feels like you can't, and you're never going to get there. But once you start really sort of focusing on certain things, certain parts of it, and understanding where it's coming from, I think that that's going to be the biggest piece to really start getting you moving into the right direction.
And as always, I'm going to speak truth because I think that's where power comes from. And I'm going to be honest, after coaching for years and years and years, a lot of times with salon and spa owners, I see that they make this overwhelm up in their own minds a lot of times. They think that they are completely overwhelmed because things are out of control a little bit, but they're really not as overwhelmed as what they are, right? They have the ability to fix it and fix it very, very quickly. They just almost choose not to. And so then they spin themselves into another cycle of overwhelm and then overwhelm and then overwhelm and overwhelm again. And I have seen this happen over and over and over again. A lot of times we are just not as overwhelmed as we really think we are. And there are very, very simple things that we can do in order to fix this. All right, guys, here's what we want you to walk away with. The things you tell yourself to stay comfortable are the very things that are keeping you stuck. And the only way out is through the truth. You can't build a sustainable, profitable business on top of fear, on top of excuses, and on top of burnout. But you can build one on strategy, on support, and on honest leadership. Chandra, if someone is listening right now and they are realizing they've been telling themselves one or maybe all of the lies that we talked about today, what would you say is the very first mindset shift that they need to make?
The biggest thing is understanding what you're telling yourself, what lies are you telling yourself, and where are you at? And then just really start to shift your mindset. Like what can I do differently? Where can I make changes? How can I get help? What is it that you need to get yourself out of that feeling or out of that trap and stop telling yourself those things? Because I think they kind of sometimes become excuses that we tell ourselves because we are afraid to move forward, or we're afraid to take the next step or to make a change. And so I think really changing your mindset shift to, I can do this and I need to change these things in order for me to start moving forward towards what I wanted out of this, where my end goal is.
Yeah, change for me is really, really hard. I hate change. My husband, my kids will tell you I absolutely hate change. However, change is a part of life, and it's something that we all have to do. And if we never make the changes, nothing is ever going to change, and we are going to be stuck in that cycle of insanity forever. I don't want that for anybody listening to this. I don't want it for myself. I don't want it for you, Chandra. So really, really, really have to shift that mindset and get yourself to a point to where you can move forward. If you are ready to stop spinning your wheels and finally step into the next level version of your business, let us help. Visit www.thebeautybizagency.com to learn how we help salon and spa owners like you restructure, lead with confidence, and finally scale in a way that feels good and that actually works. That's a wrap for today, guys. Thanks for listening. Be sure that you subscribe and share this episode with other beauty pros. Don't forget to follow us on all platforms. Chandra, how do our listeners connect with us?
Yeah, you can reach out to us on Beauty Biz Agency on Instagram or Facebook, or the Beauty Biz Mentors on TikTok. If you have any questions you would like us to answer on the air, definitely shoot that to us. We would love to hear from you, and we could definitely help with some of those things. So you could also send us an email at admin@thebeautybizagency.com.
Tell our listeners about the live call that we have coming up.
Yeah, so we are going to be live on Facebook and YouTube on the first Monday of every month at 7 p.m. Central Time. And so we would love for you to show up for that. You can definitely find those links on our website as well as our social media.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions that you want asked and you don't want to voice them live, feel free to send those in. We have already gotten several that we're going to be going over, I guess, next Monday. And so I'm super, super excited about that. All right, guys, thanks again for listening. Now go out there, make bank, run the show, and ditch that chair. Until next time, keep slaying those business goals with a whole lot of swagger.